Had you ever looked for your phone while you were talking on it, or walked straight past the very thing you were searching for because your mind was somewhere else? Maybe you have scanned a crowded room for a friend who was waving right at you, and you still did not see them until they called your name. In the moment, it feels like you were spaced out, careless, or just not paying enough attention. But psychology says something much more interesting is going on. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what human attention is designed to do. Welcome to Mind Decoded. I'm Dr. Ann.
And I'm Zach. Dr. Ann, what are we unpacking today?
Today, we are unpacking why a person can look directly at a gorilla and have no idea it was there.
Okay, that is the sentence I did not expect to hear today, but I'm already hooked. Do I need to be worried about gorillas now?
Not real gorillas. But the experiment behind this is one of the most famous in psychology, and it reveals a blind spot in attention that affects every single one of us. The phenomenon is called inattentional blindness. The idea is simple on the surface. When your attention is focused on one task, you can completely fail to notice unexpected things that are fully visible. Not blurry, not hidden, not too fast. Fully visible, sometimes even huge.
So it is like the brain has a delete button for anything that is not the main task.
That is a great way to think about it. But before you decide that sounds like a flaw, let's talk about the experiment that made this famous. In the late 1990s, two researchers named Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabris created a short video at Harvard. In the video, two teams are passing basketballs. One team wears white shirts, the other wears black shirts. The task is simple. Count how many times the people in white shirts pass the ball. Easy, right?
Very easy. I could count passes all day.
That is what most people think. But halfway through the video, a person in a full gorilla suit walks into the middle of the action. She stops, faces the camera, pounds her chest, and walks off. She is visible for about 9 seconds.
9 seconds? That is an eternity. There is no way I would miss a gorilla.
That is exactly what participants said before they saw the video. But in the original study, roughly half of the people who were busy counting passes did not see the gorilla at all. When researchers asked them, "Did you notice anything unusual?" many said no.
Wait, half? Half of people missed a person in a gorilla suit standing in the middle of the screen?
Half. In some versions of the task, even more.
That is genuinely hard to believe. I want to say those people just were not trying. But I know you are going to tell me I would probably be one of them.
Haha, you might be. And here is the part that surprised me most when I first read this research. It is not that the gorilla was too small or too dim or too far away. It was right there. But when the brain is pouring attention into counting passes, the visual system does not have enough spare capacity to promote an unexpected black gorilla into conscious awareness.
So the eyes saw it, but the mind did not.
Exactly. And that distinction is the entire point. The term inattentional blindness was introduced even earlier by researchers Arian Mack and Irvin Rock. They did experiments where people focused on a visual task and then something unexpected appeared. Many participants missed it. What makes their work especially wild is that some people looked directly at the unexpected object and still did not report seeing it. Their eyes were aimed at it. Their conscious mind was not.
That is almost creepy. The eyes point at something, but the brain says, nothing to see here.
It feels creepy, but it is also very practical. The brain has limited resources. It cannot process everything at once. So it decides what matters in that moment, and it quietly lets the rest go.
Okay, so this is not just about gorillas in a lab. I think I have done this. Actually, I know I have.
Tell me.
Last week, I was driving to a new restaurant. I had the GPS on, and I was really focused on catching a particular turn. My wife was talking to me, and I said, "Yeah, sounds good." I still do not know what I agreed to. Then she told me I drove straight past the restaurant. It had a giant yellow sign and I drove right by it. I thought I was just terrible at directions. But now I am realizing my brain was too busy looking for the turn to register the sign.
That is a textbook example. Driving is one of the most demanding visual attention tasks we do. When you add searching for an address, listening to GPS, and maintaining speed, your brain starts triaging. The restaurant was probably right there, but your visual spotlight was pointed at the turn you expected. So the sign did not get a chance to enter awareness.
So it was not a me problem, it was a brain feature.
Right, and the science is very clear on this. People underestimate how much attention driving requires. The more you add, even hands-free talking, the more your visual field narrows. Research on distracted driving shows that people can miss red lights, pedestrians, and hazards directly in front of them. Their eyes are on the road, their attention is somewhere else.
I always thought hands-free was safe because my hands are on the wheel and my eyes are looking forward, but now I realize my brain is still split.
That is a crucial point. The danger is not your hands, it is your attention. If the conversation is cognitively engaging, it pulls mental resources away from visual processing. Your eyes point at the road, but the brain has less room to notice a child stepping between cars or a light turning red.
That is scary, but also very useful to understand.
This shows up in much smaller moments too. Have you ever been reading a message while someone talks to you, and later you cannot remember a word they said? Or you were so focused on a work email that you did not notice your partner entered the room?
I have absolutely done that. My partner says she can stand next to me for 10 seconds before I notice.
That is inattentional blindness in everyday life. It is not that you do not care, it is that your attention is already fully allocated. The image of her in the doorway was available, but it did not win the competition for awareness.
So when I say, sorry, I did not see you, I am not making an excuse. My brain literally did not register her.
Exactly. And this connects to something important about attention. We tend to think of seeing as passive, like a camera recording everything, but attention is active. It is more like a spotlight in a dark theater. The lit part feels like the whole world, but there is a huge dark space around it that you never notice.
I like the spotlight idea. So I am only ever seeing a small patch of the world at once, but my brain makes me feel like I am seeing everything.
That is the illusion, and it is a very useful illusion most of the time, but it means you can be completely unaware of things that are right in front of you.
Why does the brain do this? It seems like a dangerous design.
It is not a bug, it is a feature. The world is full of information. Every second, your senses are bombarded with more than you could consciously process. If your brain tried to take it all in, you would be paralyzed. Inattentional blindness is the brain's way of focusing processing power on the task it believes matters most.
So the brain has to choose a winner, and everything else gets suppressed.
Exactly. Under the surface, there is a competition among neurons in your visual system. When you focus on counting passes, the neurons that represent white shirts and basketball movement fire strongly. They also suppress activity from competing signals. A black gorilla is visually loud, but it is not part of the template you gave your brain, so it often loses the competition before it ever reaches conscious awareness.
That is wild. There is a whole neural fight happening, and I do not even get to watch it.
And by the time you might have noticed, the decision has already been made. That is why inattentional blindness feels so strange. You do not feel like you ignored anything. You feel like it never existed. But the sensory information was there. It just never became an experience.
So attention is not just a filter, it is more like a gatekeeper that only lets in what matches the current goal.
That is a great description, and this is especially true when the unexpected thing does not look like what you are looking for. If you are counting white shirts, your brain is primed for white shirts and ball movement. A big black gorilla is surprising, but it is not in the search template, so it gets crowded out.
So the more something diverges from what you expect, the more likely you are to miss it?
In many cases, yes. Our attention is tuned by expectation. We see what we are looking for. That is why a botanist might notice a rare plant while the rest of us walk right past it. The botanist's brain has a pre-existing template that lets the plant win the competition.
That explains why when I start looking for a specific type of car, suddenly I see it everywhere. My brain has been primed.
Exactly. That is a related attention bias. You have created a target, so your brain now lets matching information through more easily.
Is this the same as when you do not notice your friend got a haircut, because that also feels like a failure of seeing.
That is a close cousin called change blindness. Change blindness is failing to detect when something changes between two versions of a scene. Inattentional blindness is failing to notice an unexpected object while your attention is focused on something else. They both reveal the same truth. We do not keep a full picture of the world in our heads.
So the brain is not recording everything. It is more like taking tiny snapshots and filling in the gaps.
That is beautifully said, and it is one of the most important insights from attention research. The feeling of a rich, complete visual world is partly an illusion. Your brain gives you just enough to act, and it fills in the rest with expectations.
Okay, so if I cannot trust my brain to automatically notice things, what do I actually do? Because I cannot pay attention to everything at once.
Right, you cannot, but you can work with the way attention actually works. The first step is to stop expecting yourself to multitask. When something really matters visually, give it one clean job. If you are driving in an unfamiliar place, reduce extra cognitive load. Wait to have the deep conversation until you are parked.
Even if it is hands-free.
Even then, the second step is to make important things specific. If you need to notice a sign, a symptom, or a subtle shift, say out loud what you are looking for. This primes your attention. You are giving the brain a search template instead of hoping something will jump out.
So if I am looking for my keys, I should say, keys, silver ring, kitchen counter.
It sounds simple, but that kind of self-talk actually helps. You are turning a vague intention into a clear target. Third, in high-stakes settings, build in a deliberate second look. Pilots, surgeons, and safety inspectors do not rely on a single glance. They use checklists and explicit scans because they know the human brain cannot catch everything with one pass.
So checklists are not just boring office tools. They are like a patch for inattentional blindness.
Exactly. And once you know this, you might feel more compassion for yourself when you miss something. So many people think, I am so unobservant, or I never pay attention. But the truth is that missing the unexpected is a normal brain feature. It is not a character flaw.
I honestly feel a little relieved. I have beaten myself up for not noticing things, especially when my wife tells me I walk right past the thing I need.
And look, once you understand the mechanism behind this, you might actually feel more compassion for yourself, because this is not a personal failing. It is a brain feature. The brain has to ignore most of the world so you can function. Sometimes it ignores something you wish it had caught. That is the cost of having a focus system at all.
So the next time I miss the obvious, I can say, okay, my spotlight was just pointed somewhere else.
That is a much more accurate and kinder way to think about it. By the way, if today's episode made you feel a little less alone in your human brain, please subscribe and hit the bell. We release a new episode every day, and each one decodes another piece of how your mind actually works.
And if you want to share a moment you missed something obvious, drop it in the comments. We read those stories and they often become future episodes.
Yes, we genuinely love hearing them. Here is a small experiment for your day. The next time you need to find something important or notice something specific, say out loud exactly what you are looking for. Give your brain a clear target, then notice whether it becomes easier to spot. And if you still miss something obvious, remember the gorilla. Half of people missed a chest-pounding gorilla. You are in good company.
That makes me feel much better about the gas station.
Good. Keep paying attention to how attention works, and you will notice more than you used to. Thanks for listening to Mind Decoded. We will decode another piece of your mind tomorrow.